Picture this. You're sitting beside the woman you once swore the universe placed in your life. Same couch, same room, same routine, but something feels different, heavier, colder, unfamiliar. She's on her phone, scrolling endlessly. You're pretending to watch whatever's on the TV. But inside, brother, you feel that gap between you stretching wider every day. It's not a fight. It's not an argument. It's not even tension. It's the quiet, that still, heavy silence that feels like standing next to a ghost you still love. This is how most relationships die. Not in chaos, not in betrayal, but in slow emotional starvation, in tiny cuts, invisible wounds, drop by drop by drop. What I'm about to tell you isn't something people like admitting, but it's the truth that almost everyone lives through. In the beginning, love is fire, bright, loud, consuming. You feel alive in ways you've never felt before. Every message from her is dopamine. Every touch is electricity. Every conversation is a doorway to something bigger. But what nobody tells you is this. Fire was never meant to last forever. What lasts is maintenance, repair, attention, awareness. And that's where people fail. Because love doesn't collapse in one moment. It fades in 1,000 small ones. It begins with a tiny disappointment she doesn't talk about. It continues with a tiny hurt you decide to ignore. One unreturned hug, one distracted conversation, one I'm fine when she's not, one nothing's wrong when everything is wrong. These aren't fights, these are micro drains, little emotional leaks that slowly empty the connection. And the saddest part, neither of you notices in time. Think about the nights, brother, when she used to talk about everything, the silly stories, the random thoughts, the dreams she embarrassed to say out loud. Now she keeps most of it to herself, or shares it with someone else, a coworker, a friend, her diary, anyone but you. That shift is a micro drain, and you on your side, the man who once opened up effortlessly, who once shared his ambitions, his fears, his dreams, now answers everything with yeah, it's cool, it's whatever. Not because you don't care, but because you're tired, emotionally burnt, afraid that your vulnerability will fall into her silence. Another micro drain. Your brains are reacting differently too. Women feel emotional distance as anxiety, tight chest, racing thoughts, insecurity. Men feel it as numbness, foggy mind, emotional shutdown, withdrawal. Two different responses to the same wound, and ironically, each one makes the other worse. When she gets anxious, she pulls back or becomes colder to protect herself. When you feel numb, you pull back because you don't know how to explain it. Both of you think you're surviving, but both of you are slowly drowning each other. That's biology, brother, not cruelty, not intention, just two nervous systems trying to breathe. Picture this scene. It's late at night, you're both in bed, she's turned to the other side. You're staring at the ceiling, feeling that distance like a physical weight. You want to reach out, you want to touch her shoulder, you want to whisper, "Are we okay?" But you don't, because you're afraid that if you ask, she'll confirm the fear you're trying to avoid. She, meanwhile, lies awake wishing, just wishing, you'd hold her the way you used to. Two hearts, one silence, both hurting, both waiting for the other to make the first move. Neither of you does. That moment, that quiet, heavy, almost invisible moment, is a micro drain big enough to sink a relationship over time. And then come the habits that kill love without anyone noticing. She starts going to bed earlier, not because she's tired, but because she feels safer in her own emotional space. You stay awake longer, not because you're occupied, but because you don't know how to exist in the same silence. She laughs at her phone more than she laughs with you. You spend more time outside the house than inside. She stops initiating affection, not because she stopped loving, but because all the tiny rejections have worn her down. You stop trying to connect, not because you don't care, but because effort feels pointless when nothing seems to change. These aren't always conscious choices, they're reflexes, emotional survival instincts, micro drains. And then, something even more dangerous happens. You both start filling the emptiness with other things. She immerses herself in friends, in her routines, in work. You lose yourself in distractions, your phone, your hobbies, your silence. Not cheating, not betrayal, just escape. Because the relationship space no longer feels safe for either of you. It feels heavy, forced, exhausting. Most couples think this means love is gone, but love isn't gone. It's starving, it's malnourished, underfed, ignored. It's still there, just buried under emotional dust. Modern society makes this worse. We're told that if love stops feeling good, we should leave. No communication, no repair, no effort, just run. But nobody tells you the truth. Even the best relationships feel broken sometimes. Even soul connections run dry. Even the strongest love goes through emotional winters. People give up too easily because nobody taught them the skill of repairing tiny emotional wounds. Everyone knows how to start love. Almost nobody knows how to sustain it. So relationships that could be fixed are abandoned. Not because there's no love left, but because both people got tired of guessing instead of speaking. And then comes the collapse. One day you wake up, and something feels wrong in a way it never did before. Her voice doesn't warm you. Your words don't reach her. Her eyes don't soften the way they used to. Your presence doesn't soothe her the way it once did. You begin to interact like polite strangers. Careful, distant, robotic. You still care, but the emotion that used to flow freely now has to be forced. That's when the relationship enters its silent death. Not with screams, not with anger, but with emotional emptiness. The quietest heartbreak there is. Here's the part that hurts, brother. Most couples who reach this stage don't break up because they stopped loving each other. They break up because they stopped trying, stopped noticing, stopped nurturing when the small things still mattered. It's not the big betrayals that end relationships. It's the thousand little moments where both people chose silence over honesty, where both chose comfort over vulnerability, where both chose to let it slide instead of saying, "This hurt me, this scared me, I still care." This is the bitter truth. But here's the hope. Yes, there is hope. Not the fairy tale kind, the real, heavy, honest kind. If micro drains can break a relationship, then micro moments can rebuild one. Small truths, small gestures, small repairs. Asking her, "What's been on your mind?" before resentment forms, saying, "I miss us," before the distance becomes normal, touching her hand, leaning into her shoulder, giving a real smile, even a tired one, choosing to talk instead of shutting down, choosing to hold instead of pulling away, choosing to listen instead of reacting. Connection doesn't return in a burst, it returns in drops, the same way it was lost. One small moment of honesty at a time, one moment of choosing each other again. This is how love survives, not through perfection, not through grand declarations, but through the gentle, stubborn decision to repair what is broken before the cracks become collapse. Softens. Brother, love doesn't die because it gets weak. It dies because it is left unfed. But the same love can be revived with the same small things that once killed it. Attention, presence, effort, truth. In the end, it was never the big fights. It was the small silences, the quiet hurts, the moments we both walked away inside our minds. Love didn't die, we just stopped feeding it.